What is up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So we're back with another Pride look, and look who was all up in my face. Like, he really be intrigued when I be doing my makeup, and it's so funny when I do like prosthetic makeup looks, he be looking at me like, you always look like that? He be like, something don't seem right. I don't know what it is, but I can't put my finger on it, but something ain't right. But anyways, I primed my face, and I'm doing a Steven Universe like Pride look of Ruby and Sapphire. And I got this idea because one of my kids told me the other day, or like this is like weeks ago for real, that was like, you give Garnet vibes. And then I was like, when I was trying to like plan out my Pride looks, I was like, you know what, that would be a vibe. So, you know, we're gonna do a split makeup, like, so we're gonna do blue for the Sapphire side and then red for the Ruby side. And I'm basically just taking mascaras and using them as like basically a brow tint or whatever, because honestly I didn't feel like doing like what I normally do, which would be to either use the color case from Made by Mitchell or the color freeze from Dancing Rights Beauty. And I didn't want to do too much just because I knew that this look was going to take a lot, because I'm literally going to have to draw them on my face. So that's why I kind of went simpler with the brows and just even the eyeshadow in general, because whenever I'm doing like illustrations like on my face, or maybe I'm doing rhinestones, if I'm doing something that I know for a fact is going to take a lot of time up, I try to do like other parts of my makeup like a little bit more simple, just so I have a little bit more time. Because, you know, even when I did the rhinestone brows, like that look, everything besides the brows like was pretty fast, because I was like, girl, it's going to take me a good minute to put these rhinestones on. So if I know that I'm about to spend like 20 minutes on just one small area of my makeup look, I try to make everything else a little bit easier for me. That way I'm not there for 4 hours. But I wanted to use the Milk Cosmetics. This is the Muerte palette, and I've used this a couple different times. I feel like my eyeshadow base probably wasn't like as good as I wanted to, and then when it came to the blue, like I had an idea, but then when I was looking at it, I was like, I feel like that's too dark for Sapphire, and I probably would have like used a different like blue, but I really wanted to use this one eyeshadow palette, because whenever I can just use one eyeshadow palette, I really try to, because I hate trying to use like 10 different palettes. But I probably would have changed this one to a lighter blue color, that way I didn't have to like literally layer like a whole nother color on top just to mute it down a little bit, because I just feel like if you look at this, I'm like, I wanted the eye to be a little bit softer, like not too dramatic, since the brow was already dark within itself. So that's why I added like that tealish shade on top and attempted to blend it out. I mean, I feel like it worked for this look. You know, next time definitely we'll be doing that differently. But now that I'm done with the eyeshadow, I really didn't know what else I wanted to do, but I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and line my top lash line. This eyeliner is okay. It's not my favorite one. It's a H2O like waterproof liner, which is cool or whatever, but it's just like the actual tip itself is like a lot harder than like a lot of other liquid liners I have, because I feel like the liquid liners that I usually use, like it's actually like a brush, and this feels like a hard like tool. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like there's not that much flexibility within that liner, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to go ahead and put mascara on my top lashes, just get out the way, that way I also don't forget, because sometimes I do forget, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even do my mascara up top. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my brows. I'm using this Build concealer from Made by Mitchell. This one is a little bit closer to my skin tone color, which I love to use when I like basically clean up above my brows. I like to use something that's closer to my skin tone. So for my base, I wanted to use this like Ami Cold product. This is basically like a skin tint, or like I don't even know what to even call it, like a stick foundation kind of thing. It's like creamier. I used to use it a lot for like my work makeup like a year ago, but I haven't like really played with it lately. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try her out, because I was like, why not? I feel like the color is okay. It does look a little bit more neutral than or like cooler than I would normally go for, but you know, we're gonna make it work. And then I'm just blending out my concealer, and I make sure once I blend out my concealer, I go back in with my foundation brush and blend around the edges, just to make it look a little bit smoother and not like a stark difference, like, okay, this is where the concealer is, this is where the foundation is. I feel like that just helps with the blendability, and it's something that I do with all my different makeup looks. Even if I'm like doing a colorful base, or if I'm doing like an animal face or something like that, I still try to go in wherever my base product brush is, and then cover up like the highlighted areas like you see right now. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bronze my face. I've been trying to use my curve case from Made by Mitchell. Like, I love it. I'm so close to hitting pan on one of these colors, and I don't know, I get excited when I hit pan on product, because that means I'm actually using it, and I'm like, ooh, that means I get to replace the product when I run out. out. But yeah, I'm basically just like using that darker color first, and I was like, I want to warm it up, so that's why you see me going in with chocolate charm. I actually have a stick version of chocolate charm, which I love using whenever I have like those like days when I don't need to like take that much time on my makeup, like I'm having a rush. But we're blending her out, and once I blend her out, I'm gonna take that foundation brush and blend around the edges too, just to make that even more seamless. And I feel like that's really what has helped my like makeup application product, is going back and forth to make sure everything is blended well together. And yeah, so now that I'm done with that layer of my base products, I'm going to spray my face with the Pretty Fresh spray from ColourPop. And that is basically like a hydrating setting spray. And once it dries down, I'm going to take this ColourPop, like, I think this is the translucent caramel setting powder, the no filter one. And I'm just using it in all of my areas where I used that concealer earlier. And I feel like this like powder is okay. Is it like my favorite one? No, but it's not terrible. It's just not something that I normally go for on a day-to-day basis. And I was going to use that Milk Makeup one, but then I was like, you know what, I want to use the I'll Make Whole one since I used that foundation stick. So that's why you saw me change. I forgot to edit out that content, but you know, just ignore it for me. And now I'm going in with one of my favorite bronzers. This is the Bronze Pod from Made by Mitchell. If you can look closely at my like little pod thing, you see that there are pieces broken everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I love her deeply. I'm not going to toss her. Like, I'm trying to get as much use out of this as possible. Then if I need to restock, I will. And as you see, I was basically running out of my setting spray, and there is literally like formula like mist like actually like caked up on my face. So to make sure that it doesn't leave like random spots, I went ahead and tapped in and like over my face on any area where I feel like it was like, you know, a splotchy area, and then I just went in with my foundation like setting brush, if that makes sense. And now I'm doing underneath my eye. So for underneath my eye, I'm just doing the same technique, or using the same colors I use above my eye. And I want to add like a little shimmer moment. So I was like, you know what, let me add like, you know, this eyeshadow. This is the Stone palette from Get Stone, and I use Candy Apple. I believe that's the color I use. And then I want to use like this blue shade from the Milk Cosmetics palette, but it wasn't really layering how I wanted to. Like, I kept trying to make it pop a little bit more, but I feel like it just wasn't doing what I need to do. So I went ahead and went in with my Danessa Mars Beauty Lightwork Volume 6 palette, and then I'm just touching up my eyeliner, since like I kind of messed it up by adding the shimmer all over it, but it really wasn't that messed up. I just wanted to make it a little bit crispier. And I'm going in with the shadow stick from About Face in the shade that Kill the Lights. This is one of my favorite eyeliner pencils, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I just love a black like what is it called, a waterline, just because I feel like it just like makes my eyes just look chef's kiss. But I'm going in with this blush from Juvia's Place, and I didn't have many like brushes clean, so you see me using like this random brush to blend out my blush. This is not my favorite brush to blend it out, but you know, she did the job or whatever. And I add like a tiny amount to like my nose, my chin, and my forehead. And then I want to use this like Made by Mitchell pressed blush, because this is like the closest I had to that shade. So I was like, you know what, I might as well use that one, because I also don't use that much. And if I feel like my blush is too much to like basically like tone down a little bit, I'll go in with that brush I used to set my entire face. And then I decided to use the Dewy Bounce like setting spray from Beauty Crop, because I had run out of that ColourPop one. And I decided to do like a split highlighter effect. So on the side that's like more blue, I decided to use like a blue tone, and on this side I decided to do like a little warm like orangey-ish red color. And this is actually like a shimmer, like it's not even like an actual like highlighter. And I decided to just layer it on my nose. I'm drawing my moles back on before I go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup look. So to finish off like my base, I decided to go back in with that mascara, because I felt like the color and like toned down a little bit, just because I had, you know, set my face with powders and stuff, and I feel like some of the areas got covered up. So I just ran through, which was kind of hard to do because like my brushes were like literally like hard, but you know, we made it work. And I'm setting my face with the Kimchi Cheek setting spray. I wanted to like set it before I did this like drawing, because I knew it was gonna take me a little second. So basically what I did was use a brown eyeshadow to basically like sketch out the design, and I want to do like garnets, basically like gem in the middle of my forehead, because you know, basically garnet is a fusion of ruby and sapphire. So that's why I decided to do the like gem in the middle. And I'm using the color fix from Danessa Mars Beauty. I basically like mix some colors and try to get them as close to as possible as the colors I saw in the picture. And now I'm adding red to one side. But yeah, this was a pretty like fun process. I feel like this part was pretty easy. Like, I don't know, I feel like me just like working on my like actual like traditional style art has helped me like kind trying to figure out how to do things on my face, because it's like, okay, I know I like this style, and I decided to make this side darker a little bit because I feel like it wasn't dark enough. But I feel like that has definitely like helped me when it comes to my makeup. Like, I have a genuine style for my makeup or for my like art, so it kind of transfers to makeup. And I decided to try to draw just like the base of it. I didn't want to do anything too serious because I knew it was going to cover up and I didn't want to waste no time anyway. So that's why you see just like a base lining of just like the silhouette of their face, and I just like freehanded everything on top, which I mean sometimes you can tell, but it's the thought that counts. So basically I used the color fix and I mixed the color trying to get this like reddish like color. And then for Sapphire I mixed like these two blues, but then I wanted to like tone it down a little bit, not even tone it down, but make it look a little bit more cool tone, like purpley, because her face actually looks similar to this color than the version I had made at first. And I'm just trying to blend it evenly, and usually you will need to do multiple layers. I try not to, like, I hate having to do multiple layers, but sometimes the color definitely needs it if you want it to look as opaque as possible. I could set this with like eyeshadow or whatever, but I don't, because like they dry down matte. So I'm just like, I let them just like dry down, and then I'll just like move on to a different part of the illustration while everything else is wet, because like sometimes I don't like to do certain things unless like the area beside it is kind of like almost dry. That way it doesn't like mess anything up. And then this is the little bandana on a Ruby, and now I'm gonna work on her hair. So basically I was going back and forth between them both. 9 times out of 10, whenever I'm doing like an illustration on my face or like some type of like drawing or line or whatever, I'll usually use like the same brush for the entire thing. So basically what I was doing in between like me doing the different colors, I would basically wipe off the brush, and then that way like the color doesn't pick up whenever I do my next color. So just a little tip or whatever, but you can use multiple brushes. It's just I'm not doing it. Like, I'm sorry, but I decided to make her face a little bit like more opaque, so I added a second layer for the red face, and then I'm gonna go in on the Sapphire's face to add like the hair and stuff. So her hair was basically like this light blue color, so I didn't feel a need to really like try to mix the color together. I was like, just straight out the tube is good. That way I can also save time and not sit here all day trying to like perfect this blue when I feel like the bottle was good enough. But I knew I was gonna do a second layer on this just because it's a lighter color. It's one of the pastels, and I felt like you can like, it's like okay, but it's like if I want my makeup to like look like I really sat here and I was trying to give it my all, I need to do a second layer. So I just kind of like flowed the hair like around my brow, if that makes sense. I was just trying to make it like fit, because at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fit Sapphire's face, because I was like, I took up a lot of space with the gem and a Ruby, but I feel like it worked pretty well. And now I know I didn't get a good view of it because I was trying to look in the mirror because I did not have my glasses on or my contacts. But basically I'm doing the second layer for Sapphire's hair and her face. I did her face first, and then now I'm going to basically draw eyes on the Ruby. And it wasn't as dry as it needed to be, but I was also like, bro, I'm tired, I want to finish this look so I can go lay down. And I basically just drew on her eyes with that white color fix, and then I did Sapphire's mouth with the black one. And now I'm using that liner I used to line my like top lash line. I'm using that to basically outline the entire gem, and then I will outline the two faces once they are like kind of dry. And while that dried, I decided to add rhinestones to my makeup look, because I was like, I feel like it's a cute look, but I was like, it needs something else. Like, it needs something more. So I was like, you know what? It's better rhinestones, because I love adding rhinestones to my face. Like, it takes a little bit of time, but I just love how it looks. And I usually get my rhinestones from Get Stone. I used to get some from Medic Gems, but they recently closed their shop. But Get Stone is definitely a good company to try if, you're looking to get some rhinestones. And plus, like, sometimes they'll have sales and whatnot, but they're pretty good quality. And, like, they come with 6 different sizes majority of the time. And I feel like unless you do like rhinestones in your makeup look every single day, like, they should last for a good minute. I've restocked on a couple of them, but that's because some of them were in my like makeup kit, so I needed to restock for the ones in my personal makeup or my personal kit. But now that everything is kind of dry, like dry enough, I'm deciding to finish outlining the faces. And yeah, The easiest way for me to do line work whenever I'm doing like face illustrations or whatever is to do it in short like motions and not try to do like the entire thing in one pass. And I also try to move with the shape, if that makes sense. So like how I'm moving upward, I feel like upward was easier for me to move than like trying to go down with it. So that's why I did it in that. And then like also just take your time. Like I feel like not to rush it because that can mess it up even more. And I decided to make it even more dramatic by adding like shimmers to the hair, just, you know, a little extra je ne sais quoi, like I don't know. And then I'm setting my face one more time, and then while that dries, I'm basically putting some black lash glue on my lashes, and I let them get tacky for a little while, and then I'm going to apply them. And then I don't know what happened to like my lip combo video, but I applied like this brown, like I did like a base of like lipstick, and then I just added these on top. But this is the final look. If y'all want to see me do any other like gay like characters, please let me know. I love y'all so much, and I'll talk to y'all later.